Why do you say those mean things? Why did you get so mad so quickly? Why did that little thing make you mad? These are the questions I've asked my husband a million times over, and depending on how long it's been since the incident, and if he's cooled down, the answer is usually the same. I don't really know, followed by a somber, puzzled look of confusion. My research question is, what are the communication effects of traumatic brain injury? The answer to this question, I have done research, but I've also done my own experiences. First off, I start by telling you that Jared is a great person with a heart of the size of Texas, but he definitely has impulsive behaviors and makes impulsive decisions, which affects almost every aspect of his life, including his communication. He has a history of this for nearly his entire life, but he was never diagnosed with anything that ever made any sense. As a young boy, he was told he just had a bad temper because of his red hair. Not only was he known for his quick temper, but he was also known for his athleticism. He was a phenomenal athlete. He actually was the star player in basketball, football, and baseball. Can you imagine what it felt like to be the kid with the bad temper that was the star and played full contact, smack talking, super intensive games in front of your whole community, all of your friends, all of your family, grandparents, your peers? His traumatic brain injury happened when he was 5 years old in an accident. He was never diagnosed until just recently. It was actually in February of this year. He has struggled nearly his entire life, and especially with communication, both verbal and nonverbal. At the time of his diagnosis, his doctors noted that communication was probably the biggest problem that he was having effects from. They talked with him about his communication and how he expresses himself and his emotions and the way his behavior and communication affects all of his relationships. When analyzing communication and the effects of it from a TBI, it is categorized into 3 different types. They're social, emotional, and nonverbal. According to the Texas Traumatic Brain Injury Module System of TIRR, the Memorial Hermann, the social communication can be affected from TBI in a way that it leads to cognitive problems, which are thinking problems. So it may mean a person takes longer to process information. They may have problems with goal setting and planning, or problems with attention and memory. I feel Jared's main issue is in the social category, his memory loss and attention. Jared mentioned to his doctors that he's even forgetting words. They suggested that he start speech therapy. He hasn't started that yet, but as a family, we try to help him. We have videoed him and let him see himself, which is one of the suggestions of treatment to help people. But the problem is he doesn't remember how he felt or what happened after. It's almost frustrating for us to see he doesn't remember. It's almost like he doesn't remember and learn from his mistakes. The second is emotional communication. PathologyToday.com states that emotional communication is understanding and or feeling what someone is trying to tell you verbally or non-verbally. A person with TBI has a hard time determining this. I've seen this in Jared. It is frustrating for us to live with him because we feel like he never fully understands what we're trying to tell him. And he's also frustrated. The third is nonverbal communication. The research I've found in the Air Force Center of Excellent Medicine shows a person suffering from a TBI might have a hard time understanding nonverbal cues like facial expressions, eye contact, or head movement and hand gestures. In more severe cases, the person may just actually stare during a conversation. Their facial expressions might not match what's actually being said. There are all different degrees and severity of a TBI and the effects that it might have on communication and an individual. But as for Jared, his seem to be milder for the most part. And honestly, most people don't even know he has issues. This is both good and bad. This is great that he is mild, but it does make it hard when he does have issues that no one really understands when he's not communicating well. They don't understand why. The more mild symptoms he has also made it hard that it took 37 years for him to be diagnosed. Therefore, it caused a lot of pain and heartache. During my research, I found a chapter in the book Verbal Behavior by B.F. Skinner about TBI and communication. It says even minor effects of TBI can be very hard, especially for the family of those who have the TBI, because it's known as the silent symptom. I myself and my family can vouch for this and verify that it can be very hard. Socially, Jared doesn't process things well, especially consequence, and he speaks before thinking. Emotionally, he struggles to connect and understand what we are trying to say. He also has a very hard time expressing his feelings and gets frustrated easily, therefore being irritated and mad quite often. He also doesn't ever really feel understood, which must be very frustrating for him, because I know that when I feel like he doesn't understand me, I get super frustrated. As for the third classification, I personally don't feel like this affects him very much, which is nonverbal communication. He actually lives a great life. He's able to do the things he loves, which is ride horses and train horses. He's active in the community and with his family, but communication can be very difficult. We have learned that there are still we have learned and we are still continuing to learn how to communicate in a healthy and more effective way, and what works best for us and his condition. His diagnosis was life-changing for us, just knowing that there actually is something that's physically wrong and he doesn't just choose to behave and communicate the way he does. Jared and I are both the Horseman assignment to a T. The assignment had us both chuckling and wondering how we've often made it 20 years of marriage and somehow actually still love each other. We are definitely going to keep working on making our communication better and become better communicators overall. To summarize the answer to this question, the communication effects of TBI are different for everyone due to the severity and injury that can be very life-changing. More severe or less severe, or maybe one or all three of the categories of which are social, emotional, and nonverbal communication, it is evident that good communication is key in relationships, and TBI patients and their families generally feel and experience struggle from these effects.